555 Jacksonville.
Second down, 13. 45 of Baltimore. Brunell back in the pocket. Has a bit of time now being chased. Plants throws. He's looking downfield. He's got a receiver. And it is caught. Jimmy Smith at the 5. Into the end zone. Touchdown, Jacksonville. Wayne starts for 45 yards. Barks out for signals. Drops to throw. Has time. Fires the slant. Jimmy's got it this time. 35, 30. Middle of the field. 20. He's going to the 20-yard line. He's going to score. 10, 5. Jimmy Smith. Touchdown. And the Jaguars are right back in this ball game. Barks out the signals. Pressure coming. Steps up. Steps. Turns. Throws. He's got Jimmy. First down. 20. There he goes. 10, 5. Touchdown. Win. Jacksonville. Done under pressure. Steps to avoid. Turns and throws. He's got him in. Caught Jimmy inside the 40-yard line to the 37 and down to the 36.
Congratulations to Jimmy Smith. That is now his 800th career reception, and what a play to get it on.
This team winning right now, it helps bring so much attention to our franchise, what we did back in the day, like we were talking about, these Hall of Fame conversations. But when we're winning, we see the conversations pick up. So we have noticed that. So obviously, I'm pulling for my team to get to this Super Bowl.
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark.
All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome in. Yes, in fact, Jimmy Smith was once upon a time a free agent signing by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Some people said yesterday, Tony, as we prepped them for a little early top 5 today, that I don't really count Jimmy because he wasn't a free agent in the traditional sense. I don't know. He was released by Dallas, was released by Philadelphia, and didn't play for an entire year. Yeah. He was free to sign with anybody. He was absolutely a free agent. So today, the Tuesday top 5. Who are the top 5 free agent signings in Jaguars history?
Jimmy Smith and 4 more.
Jimmy Smith and the other guys, all right? And then those other guys are pretty good now. But Jimmy Smith, if he's not number 1 on your list, if you – for some reason, don't count Jimmy. I don't know why you wouldn't. No, but
how else do you explain how he got here?
Right.
If it's not a free agent, how else do you they didn't draft him.
Correct.
Right? Like they signed him because he got cut somewhere else. But I can understand when you're putting together a list like this and Jimmy is so far above and beyond, anybody else. Jimmy, the discussions about.
Of course it's Jimmy.
Right. Like him is, where's he among the top 3 players in franchise history?
Yes.
Do you have him at 1, 2, or 3?
Yes.
Right. Like that's the Jimmy Smith discussion. But if you're going to talk, the top free agents in franchise history, then he's going to top that list.
Yeah.
We can have the discussions that we do from time to time about who's the best first-round pick in team history, and we have to debate. Is it Tony? Is it Fred? Like, we have that discussion because those are the other 2 guys in the top 3 in franchise history right now.
Well, regardless, your Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day today for the Tuesday top 5, we're asking you who are the 5 best free agent signings in Jacksonville Jaguars team history. Don't count free agents that they re-sign, obviously. I mean, those can be technically free agents, and then they bring them back. And we added, if you don't know Jaguars lore like that, we don't expect this. It just doesn't have to be homework for you, right? Just give us 5 that you like off the top of your head.
Should be fun.
Absolutely fine as well. So, by the way, Jimmy Smith will join us coming up here, scheduled to join us in 33 minutes from now. That's very precise, but that's how we are around Jaguars Today. Extremely precise. And Big Sir's going to join us. We don't often have him on because he's in-house, man. You know what I mean? He comes on 2 hours after us. We like to space it out a little bit. But we love Leon around these parts. Still might have the biggest hand of anyone whose hand I've ever shaken, man. I mean, I'm not kidding you. Leon's just a massive individual and a great part of 1010XL and a great part of Jaguar lore as well. And he'll join us in the second hour today at about 11:15, and we'll talk about his time with the Jags, but also his thoughts on what the Jags have done this offseason. So let's spend a few minutes, Tony, because we are going to get through our own top 5s pretty quickly in the program today with our guests coming up. So apparently Ted McMillan wised up and ran the 40.
Yeah.
Don't know why he wouldn't have ever planned on running the 40. Now, the initial time they got out there yesterday was 4:48, right? He didn't run at the combine. Initially said he wasn't going to run at his pro day. And then I think people said, hey, man, you're the kind of receiver that probably needs to show something. Like, we don't know that you're blazing fast, right? You can critique his film all you want, and people have made the point that he doesn't get great separation, initial separation off the line and things like that. But he ran his 40, most of the times had him in that 4.55, 4.58 range. That's Mike Evans' range. Mm-hmm. And that's the kind of receiver that he is supposed to be.
Yeah, it's fine.
Mike Evans get deep ever?
Yeah.
I mean, he gets deep
does all
plenty,
right.
Right? Mike Evans is one of the great receivers, honestly, most consistent receivers in the history of the National Football League. That doesn't mean Ted McMillan, because he's that type of receiver, will be the same level of production.
There's plenty of other Mike Evans bodies that come into the receiver that don't do that since he came in.
Of course. But I thought 4.55, that's fine. That's plenty.
That's good.
For him. 4.48, I was like, damn, is he going to be there at 5, right? Yeah. Kind of thing. Doesn't mean you have changed your opinion out there as a Jaguar fan who is interested in team building, which is what we do at this time of year. Thank goodness that heat turned off, right? I mean, I turned it up I literally turned it up 1 degree, and I'm thinking, I don't know if I'm going to make it through the next 10 minutes. It got so hot in here, man. It turned up 1 degree.
Yep.
The difference between 71 and 72 in this room. Anyway, so we got a couple of mocks out here this morning by some of the bigger names. I don't know that this is the case, Tony, because I think we all get bored. Like, I like to see different names, but at the same time, I don't like to see stupid, right? So I get it when somebody mocks Mason Graham to the Jaguars. It makes a lot of sense. And also, it's like, all right, fine. And it's not that it's bad or it's wrong or it's not ideal or I wouldn't be excited to have Mason Graham. It's just like I've seen it a million times now, and I like to see some different things. So Mel Kiper put out his third mock. This is the post-free agency mock. And, man, I hope these guys are right that we're going to see 2 quarterbacks go in the top 4. And usually towards the end, there's a push to move the quarterbacks up. I don't know where teams are on Shedeur Sanders. And, again, keep an eye on the New York Giants. I mean, the ideal scenario is that Aaron Rodgers goes to Pittsburgh, because I think if he goes to the Giants, that might preclude them from taking a quarterback at 3. Doesn't preclude them from drafting a quarterback. But I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to go into a situation where they spend top 5 draft capital on his backup, the way he'd look at it right there. So Kiper's got the top 4 going. Cam Ward, quarterback to Tennessee. Abdul Carter to the Browns, the pass rusher. Shedeur Sanders to the Giants. And then Travis Hunter almost makes it to your Jaguars. 1 pick away, and he goes to the New England Patriots. So he has the Jags taking Mason Graham. This is an interesting line. The Jags' top need hasn't changed through free agency. I'm sorry, you did not have a starting guard on this team. That was a bigger need than defensive tackle for this team. When you don't even have a player to start there, center was a bigger need for this team. Doesn't mean you would draft a center 5th overall, but in terms of needs, you could play with the defensive tackles you have before you could have played with that offensive line that you had in place. That aside, Kiper writes they have to add a pocket-pushing, havoc-wrecking defensive tackle in the middle of the line after Armstead and Hamilton combined for 2 sacks in 2024. Graham had only 3.5 sacks last season at Michigan, but also tallied 26 pressures, 14 run stops. His technique is outstanding, power and leverage. We all know about him, right? Slotted behind Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines Allen, he could dominate, or between, not behind. After Jacksonville cut Evan Ingram, I considered Penn State tight end Tyler Warren. It's not out of the question. Quarterback Trevor Lawrence would love having Warren in the pass game, which also lost Christian Kirk. He had Warren going 7th to the Jets. If they get Warren, I'm open to whatever, right? But I hope they're able to trade back and accumulate a few extra assets if they're going to go that way. Where it got interesting was Daniel Jeremiah. He had the same exact top 4 in the same order. And he had the Jags taking Jalen Walker, the edge rusher out of Georgia. And here's what Daniel Jeremiah had to say. He said Walker would form a dynamic trio with Josh Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker, with the latter kicking inside on passing downs to give all 3 players a chance to rush the passer at the same time. Jalen Walker could play off-ball linebacker on early downs and rush off the edge when it's time to hunt the quarterback. What do you make of that selection?
I was looking, because I hadn't looked for Jalen Walker a whole lot, right, when we've been having these discussions about the draft. So I was looking for where is he considered among the prospects in this draft, right, in these different spots. I'm looking at ESPN. They have him number 6 overall on their list. Daniel Jeremiah had him number 7 overall on that list. Over at CBS, they have Walker at number 9. Right?
PFF has him at 30.
Right. So most spots have him as at least a top 10 prospect in the draft. He's just not one that we've thought about basically at all. And it's because we even have, when we've had the discussions about Abdul Carter, right? It's like if we had a list of 5, he would be the 5th guy on the list, in part because the position and what exactly is that going to look like.
And what we have here already.
Right, and what we already have here in Jacksonville. I think Walker is more interesting in that regard because he can play stand-up linebacker for you, right? So he does have more flexibility as far as how are we going to get him on the field where he's going to be a linebacker. And when we get into pass rush situations, he's going to be an edge guy for the football team. I'd like the flexibility with the player. I hadn't thought about him at all.
Me either.
Until I saw Jeremiah put him in there. I was like, that's interesting. I still don't know how to really feel about it with the other players that we've talked about so much still being available, right? With the Jags being on the clock there in that scenario at 5. So it's not my favorite, way for the whole thing to play, but it was an interesting thing to have to think about that I hadn't thought about before. And actually, it's got me thinking about the mock drafts that we'll be doing tomorrow. And I may challenge myself to not mock draft a player that I've mock drafted at all to the Jags at any spot.
Almost took Genty in one today.
Right, just to see what it would look like for one of these mocks, but we'll see.
Yeah, we will. I did a mock this morning. I'll probably roll with it. Sometimes I do 2 or 3, and I try to figure out the one I like the best, right, for mock draft Wednesday. But I'd made, I think, 1 trade down, and wasn't anything exorbitant, and that was it. And we'll see. I felt like I filled a bunch of holes. It was one of my favorites in terms of clicking all the boxes, getting some of the premier players at those positions, and I would take it right now. Of course, there are a lot of variations you could lay out there that I'd say I would take that right now for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and that's where the art of it comes in. The if I take this guy here, will there be a safety I like left at my next pick kind of thing? So that's kind of fun. We'll do that tomorrow. Big day today with Jimmy Smith, Leon Searcy joining us on the program, so we're excited about that. In the meantime, you can try to get in if you want to, primarily today on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures at 641-1010. Not going to take too many phone calls, if any, today with the guests we have coming up, and as well as you can hop in the YouTube virtual studio chat or hit us up on social media at MD_1010XL, at 1010XL Fat Tony, and at 1010XL Denmark.
Ain't no laws when you're drinking claws, baby.
How's the big track meet this weekend for Baldwin?
Boys got 8th place in the 4x4. That was pretty good, but we did all right.
And you're talking about now, you were telling me these are high schools from all over the place.
Oh, yeah. Miami.
Right?
You had Miami Northwestern, St. Thomas, American Heritage. The team came down from Atlanta, Brunswick, the Panhandle. Yes, it was all over the region. Yes, sir.
And the idea is to finish somewhere in the top 8.
Yeah,
right?
If you get top 8, you get points.
You get points for that. So congrats, the 4x400 squad out there. I mean, you're going up against the big boys for sure in that. All right, so we're ready to go. We're going to come right back with our own top 5 list of the best free agent signings in team history. I think there'll be a lot of overlap, but it gets interesting around 5, 6, 7, 8. I couldn't squeeze. I really have a top 6 that I feel great about, but there's so many other good candidates that people laid out there that I wonder if I'm not overlooking a few along the way. But nevertheless, we'll give you ours. You can submit yours if you want to play along as well. Jimmy Smith, less than 25 minutes away, scheduled to join us this morning to kick off Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today. You're at the home of the Jaguars in the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. Superior products, exceptional service. Because we see life through sports-colored glasses.
Do you see anything on this uniform indicating an officer? What does 3 up and 3 down mean to you, Airman?
End of an inning.
1010XL.
Struggling with ED? Now Riddle Wellness has a solution that works. You've heard of PRP treatments for joint pain relief. That same technology is now available with the P-Shot, a non-surgical treatment for ED. Using your body's natural power, the P-Shot helps restore function naturally. No pills, no downtime, just results. Schedule a free consultation at elevatejacksonville.com and learn what the P-Shot can do for you. Riddle Wellness, your health, your confidence totally restored. Visit elevatejacksonville.com.
Need fresh and flavorful lunch? Chicken Salad Chick has scratch-made Southern-style chicken salad in every bite. It's quick and delicious, so why wait? Come taste the best chicken salad today at Town Center, Durbin Park, or Butler Point at Chicken Salad Chick.
Hey Jacksonville, Lauren here from Helmets and Heels. When it's time for new tires, look no further than Big Chief Tire. Their experts will help you quickly find the right fit, ensuring a safe and comfortable ride. With quality options, fair prices, and quick installation, you'll be back on the road in no time. Visit WeKeepJacksRollin.com or call 904-932-0950 to schedule your appointment and roll into 2025 with even greater confidence guaranteed. Big Chief Tire keeps Jacks rolling.
Your AC's broke, it ain't no joke. Call Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. FloridaHomeAC.com.
For the greenest, luscious lawn on the block, choose the local legends, Roundtree Sod. Don't just settle for ordinary. Let Roundtree Sod deliver you a picture-perfect lawn. To get a free estimate, call 7414-SOD. 7414-SOD.
It's the Mr. Chubby's Bracket Challenge going on now at 1010XL.com. Print your bracket and bring it to any Mr. Chubby's Wings during Live Madness games. Get a free Miller Lite for each game you pick right. Top prize Saturday passes to Welcome to Rockville.
Lots of jewelry stores in the town center, but only one is locally owned, Beard's Diamonds.
We're the only local jewelry store at the town center.
That's Jacksonville's John Lupo, owner of Beard's for over 4 decades.
We're entrenched in Jacksonville, Florida.
In a sea of mega chain jewelers, John says it's easy to stand out because he's not handcuffed by a corporate handbook.
I am not beholden to a corporate structure, so we've got flexibility to do whatever we can and want, and we do.
And that includes lowering prices to undercut them every day.
Quality for quality, color for color, everything the same. We should be able to beat them hands down by minimum 20%. We go overseas ourselves. We know exactly what we're buying. This isn't getting marked up in a corporate structure. We will beat anybody's price anywhere.
So before you buy anything at one of those chains, get a second opinion at locally owned Beard's Diamonds. No corporate atmosphere, no corporate rules, no corporate high markups.
We want you to come shop us and you'll see a lot better price here.
Beard's Diamonds.
Everybody gets a good deal at Beard's.
Hi, I'm Malcolm Anthony. When you've been charged with a crime, you don't have to face it alone. I'm here for you. Stay out of trouble, but if you don't, call me. 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW in the 904.
Big Brothers Big Sisters is teaming up with the NFL to inspire change. From now to draft day, Big Brothers Big Sisters is following the NFL draft, aiming to recruit potential bigs. Hi, I'm Brent from the 1010 sales team. I'm committed as a mentor, and we need you to step up and become a mentor too. There's a waiting list of more than 50 children hoping for a mentor. It's just a few hours a month. Be a mentor. Become a big. Visit bbsnefl.org. Be a mentor or visit Big Brothers Big Sisters and click on Big Draft.
Hey, it's Angela and Brian Wall. How many companies do you know in this day and age that actually want their potential customers to call their competition and get quotes from them?
That's what WonderWorld wants you to do. WonderWorld knows there are other window companies out there, but we also know those other guys. When compared to WonderWorld, they can't offer you the quality at the price that WonderWorld can.
And with WonderWorld, you get the absolute best guarantee there is in the window replacement business.
If anything goes wrong with your new WonderWorld windows, 5 years from now, 10, 15, 50, WonderWorld and I will be there to fix it for you. You get peace of mind with WonderWorld, and to top it off, WonderWorld windows increase the value of your home. So look what you get with WonderWorld. Quality windows, low price, the best guarantee in the business, energy savings, and an increase in the value of your home. A win-win for you.
Call WindowWorld today and get your free in-home estimate or see them online at windowworldneflorida.com.
WindowWorld, simply the best for less. Thank you for your business.
WindowWorld also offers energy-efficient doors.
Is your backyard ready for the big leagues? Pick it here for Surfside Pools. Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, they have the home field advantage. Family owned and operated, offering weekly pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools make your backyard dreams a reality. Are you ready to float happy? Visit SurfsidePools.net or call 904-246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, your hometown MVP.
License number CPC 044080.
You are in for a treat on Saturday, March 22nd from 1 to 4 p.m. at Tobacco Cove, where the smoke is rich and the deals are hotter than a lit cigar. It's time for the La Aroma de Cuba cigar event. With great cigars, mouth-watering food, and awesome prizes. What more could you want? Tobacco Cove, 3849 Bay Meadows Road. More than a cigar store, it's an experience.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, Tuesday, top 5 for Jaguars Today. We got to bang this one out, Tony, because we have some members of the top 5 who will be joining us today, at least members of my top 5 that will be joining us today. Jimmy Smith on the way in about 15 minutes. The greatest receiver in Jaguars history to this point. Let's see if BTJ can start stacking them up. Got a long way to go, young man. And Leon Searcy, who was one of the best offensive linemen to ever play in a Jacksonville Jaguar uniform, joining us about an hour from now, as a matter of fact. So because there's not a whole lot of drama who's at the top of the countdown, we'll start with 1 and work our way down. Let's see if we can bang this thing out in about 8 minutes. Go ahead, Dylan, start us off.
Number 1.
All right, Jimmy Smith is the number. If he's not number 1 on your list, then for some reason you didn't count Jimmy Smith as a free agent in the traditional sense. I get it. He didn't have a contract end, and then he became a free agent. But another guy on this list of mine fits that category as well. But look, he's the leader in receptions, yards, receiving touchdowns, one of the 3 greatest players in franchise history, Tony. Easily the best free agent. I mean, what more do you have to say about Jay Smooth?
30th in NFL history in receptions, 27th in NFL history in receiving yards. He and Tony Baselli are the only 5-time Pro Bowlers in Jaguars history. Yeah, he's number 1 with the bullet.
That's pretty good. Dylan, anything to add to that?
No, sir.
All right. Jimmy Smith is number 1 officially on your list, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's continue on. What's next?
Number 2.
All right. For me, this is a little bit tougher. I think there are 2 very strong candidates for number 2. I personally went with the mayor of Saxonville. I went with Calais Campbell. I know he was only here for 3 years. Made the Pro Bowl all 3 years. Had 31.5 sacks in those 3 seasons. He was a first-team All-Pro and runner-up Defensive Player of the Year in his first year with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was a culture setter. Fans still clamoring to bring Calais back at any age. Just give us 1 more year, Mayor. We love you that much. Impact on the field. Walter Payton Man of the Year. Off the field, Tony. I mean, he gave you everything. It's his high-end play in that first season that put him at number 2 over the next guy on my list, but Calais Campbell was 2 for me.
Number 2 for me, I went with Keenan. I got Thunder and Lightning at 1 and 2 here for the Jags. Spent 6 of his 16 seasons here with Jacksonville. Jacksonville's the only spot where Keenan made a Pro Bowl. That was in 1996 for the team, and one of the best route runners, if not the best route runner in franchise history, Keenan McCardell. One of the, if not, again, the best slot player that they've ever had in franchise history. Good enough that Bill Belichick just brings up his name on a whim, right, when he's talking about the best players playing that position that he's ever been around. So, yeah, Keenan McCardell, I was close between him and Calais, but I went with Keenan there at number 2.
All right, Mr. Denmark.
I went with Keenan McCardell, number 2, and with the OG squad, 1, 2. Bang,
all right, Keenan McCardell, well, let's get to the next one on the list.
Number 3.
For me, he is number 3, and I thought those were the 2 easy ones to put in the 2nd and 3rd spot, whatever order you wanted to list them. 499 receptions in a Jaguar uniform, 63-93 in terms of yardage, 30 receiving touchdowns. Those numbers are second, and 3rd all-time among all Jaguar pass catchers. Mercedes Lewis sneaking in there, if you're wondering, as the number 2 touchdown reception score here in Jaguar history. But yes, Keenan was number 3 for me.
Number 3 for me, Calais Campbell, the mayor of Saxonville, one of, if not the most beloved Jags of the last decade in Jaguars football. Beloved in every spot he's been, right? Like everywhere Calais goes, they love him. They're like, oh, man, it's a shame that he has to go somewhere else. If he does wind up getting close to or into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Jacksonville, he's going to owe a whole lot of accolades to if it happens, because this is the first spot where they said, you know what, go be an edge.
Yeah.
Go be an edge. The only 2 double-digit sack seasons he has in his career are 2 of the 3 seasons that he spent here, including that first year in 17, where that guy comes here in free agency and says, I went to Jacksonville because I can see a path to them being a playoff team this year with me added to the roster. Calais always kind of believed in it when he came here. He's been that guy from the moment that he got here. It's a shame it was only 3 years. It would have been fun if we were going into year 7 with Calais somewhere on the defensive line, but that's just not how it worked out.
Dylan Denmark.
I'm going to go Leon Searcy, number 3.
All right.
Signed a $17 million contract over 5 years. I don't even know how to put that into contextualize how, I mean, did he live up to his contract? Did he overperform his contract? Because, I mean, I'm trying to think of, like,
what the money was like back then. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say Leon for number 3 for me.
All right. Let's move along in the countdown.
Number 4.
And I will continue with the Leon Searcy love right here at number 4 for me. He made a Pro Bowl with this team and was second team All-Pro when he did that. Missed 1 game in 4 years, Tony. And those bookend tackles were a big part of it. Leon Searcy signed in February of 96. I mean, the 96, Keenan McCardell signed a couple of weeks later. The number 5 guy on my list signed in the 96 group as well. But Big Searcy gave you what you are craving right now, gave you solid play, more than solid play, gave you a dominant offensive line paired as the opposite tackle with Tony Baselli and some pretty good interior players as well. But Searcy gave him everything that they thought they were getting when they signed him, and he oversaw that right tackle position during the greatest period of prosperity in Jaguar football history. So he's number 4 on my list.
Number 4 for me, Leon Searcy. 4 seasons here in Jacksonville. They are the longest sustained run of success in franchise history. We thought after the 22 season, maybe that kind of window was opening up again. That's not the way it's worked out, right? They made the playoffs in 22. Probably should have made the playoffs in 23. Not probably. Should have made the playoffs in 23, but they didn't. Didn't make the playoffs this year. They aren't having anywhere else that kind of sustained run of success. It's a shame that we have to go back 30 years to see it in franchise history, but Leon was a big part of that happening for this football team as football has changed, and I think it's become less and less important to be the blindside protector for the quarterback. That's become less and less of a big deal because they move the edge rushers around more than they did at the time where Leon and Tony were the guys that left and right tackle for him, but he was the blindside protector at a time when that was still a very big deal in the National Football League for a team that desperately needed somebody to be the guy on the other side of Tony. Leon Searcy, number 4 for me.
Dylan.
Calais Campbell, by far and away the best free agent signing that the Jaguars have made since I've been watching Jaguar football since 2007. You mentioned, I mean, on the field, he was one of the best at his position in the NFL, and off the field, obviously, Walter Payton, Man of the Year.
All right, let's get to number 5.
Number 5.
There it is. And this is so tough for me.
Could have been 7 guys.
It could. Well, it really, for me, it came down to 2.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of other guys that were worth mentioning, but it really came down to 2 guys for me. And the guy I went with is Clyde Simmons. And if you don't remember Clyde Simmons, you're probably young, weren't following the Jags in the mid-'90s, but I felt like it was more than just what Clyde Simmons gave you on the field, which was 16 sacks in 2 seasons, which was very good. I felt like, and we've heard so many players who were teammates of his, he legitimized this team. He legitimized this defense. He came in as a proven winner, a guy with a reputation, and he was every bit of that for 2 years with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I think they got him, Tony, in August. He was released by the, I think, Arizona Cardinals at the time. Jags signed him a couple of days later, August 23rd of 96. So basically on the eve of the season, he joined this team and took them to another level. Took them about a half a season to get going, but that's the year they started the run that was the best era in Jaguar football. So I gave the nod to Clyde Simmons, and because we're in that era of intangibly rich, and it's the intangibles that he brought to this team that put him over the top for me at number 5.
Number 5 for me, I went with Paul Posluszny. 7 seasons here in Jacksonville, currently the all-time tackles leader in franchise history, and the iconic linebacker bleeding photo. I mean, it's the picture of NFL linebacker. Paul Posluszny got the classic moment with that, and the only other run of sustained success they had potentially was that run they had when Puz was the guy in the middle of that defense. So, yeah, Paul Posluszny 5 for me.
Dylan, who you got?
Paul Posluszny, when the team wasn't good through that era, it seems like he was the only person that was consistently making plays year in and year out. Made a Pro Bowl in the middle of that as well in 2013. Paul Posluszny had 3 100 tackle seasons and had one season where he had 97 tackles. He edged out Mike Peterson for me. It was between him and Mike Peterson and Paul Posluszny. I gave it a pause.
You know what? You throw Foye in that group, too, in terms of, being a consistent tackle monster. Number 6 for me was A.J. Boye.
Yeah.
Man, based on that 1 year alone, he played here for 3 years, but that first year led the league in passer rating against by a ridiculous margin. His passer rating against was 33.8. Are you kidding me? If you're a quarterback with a 33.8 quarterback rating, you get benched. He did that the whole season. Catch rate, 5th best among all corners that year, allowed only 28.9 yards per game, and had the 2nd best interception rate in terms of balls targeted against him. He was the one that was hard for me. Love to Posluszny and Mike Pete and Foye and Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk and Chris Naoli and probably a bunch that I'm forgetting.
Paul Spicer, Gary Walker, Malik Jackson.
Gary Walker's a great one. Yeah, Malik got some love yesterday. So, obviously, there are personal lists. 3 or 4 guys at the top seem like they belong on there regardless.
Yep.
Send us yours today. You know all the ways you can contact the program. We got number 1 on the list. Coming up next, Jimmy Smith, the greatest receiver in Jaguars history, is scheduled to join us in moments here on Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today. From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. Here's another look behind the microphone at 1010XL with Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser.
I told you this was a bad idea. It was a good idea. Screwed up by a pompous ass.
Mornings on 1010XL.
Oh, really? Oh. Jags fans, here's your chance to score a trip to Green Bay for round 1 of draft night. Through the Everbank Draft Night Experience Sweepstakes, one lucky winner and a guest will be there live and in person to see the Jaguars make their first pick. To enter, visit everbank.com/draft by April 4th. That's everbank.com/draft. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of the United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry period from 3/3/25 to 4/4/25. For official rules, prize description, odds of winning, and other details, visit everbank.com/draft. Sponsor and administrator, Everbank N.A.
Here's Linda Beaver.
At Beaver Chevrolet, we believe your experience should be more than just buying a car. It should be a lifetime of confidence, care, and trust. That's why we're proud to offer lifetime warranties and lifetime customer service. At Beaver Chevrolet, we're not just here to sell you a car. We're here to establish a lifelong relationship that you can always count on. It's simple. You deserve the best and shouldn't settle for less. Visit Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville, where we're ready to give you a peace of mind for a lifetime.
ET here, and Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find Scratch Kitchen that always comes in the clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar. Hit a home run for happy hour and ask your Twin Peaks girl about local specials on drafts, cocktail shots, and more. Come on, somebody.
There's a lot on the line in a divorce. Your home, savings, maybe even your kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce and the unexpected directions it can take, you need a partner you can count on. I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. Don't let divorce take more than it has to.
Offices in Jacksonville. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's attorneys. Lisa Cargis, Florida resident partner. Rick Julius, licensed in Pennsylvania only. Online at cordellcordell.com.
ET here, and if you've ever been injured in an accident, you have 14 days to see a doctor and protect your insurance benefits. You have the right to choose your own doctor, too. And I recommend McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation, the auto accident experts.
Big shots that change your bracket.
For the win. And he hit it!
Listen all month for top March moments on 1010XL. Driven by Garber Auto Mall. We can wiggle it.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
Your hole-in-one for men's health is Ackerman Urology. With offices in Mandarin, Middleburg, World Golf Village, and the beaches, Ackerman will get you on par for any prostate conditions and sexual vitality. Visit AckermanUrology.com.
It's Blue, and I couldn't see everyone else here at the station lose weight while I'm on the sidelines wishing mine away. I jumped on Awaken 182, and I mean weight loss every week, eating to lose weight, and then receive full support for life. What's not to like? Now, I didn't drop the double digits like Hacker did in week 1, but I'm down 4 pounds. I'll take that any day. The best part, Awaken 180 was actually easier than I expected. I'm not sure what I thought beforehand, but after just day 1, I was already in a groove. Wasn't hungry, more energy, and my coach Patrick is awesome. Gave me a couple of tips since I do sleep in and, of course, stay up late. And I'm off. I'm cruising through week 2 and loving it. You've heard all about Choose Awaken 180, all of us having success with Awaken 180. What do you have to lose? Only weight. Everything else to gain with the solution for weight loss. Reserve your March consultation today at awaken180weightloss.com or call 844-346-1800.
Hey folks, Hicken here for Zero Res. You're going to want to beat the spring cleaning rush and call our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. This month, get one room Zero Resified starting at $53. Hey, and take $100 off your air duct cleaning. Don't forget about your air ducts. Your air ducts sort of like the lungs of your home. If they're dirty, your indoor air quality suffers. Visit ZeroResJacksonville.com. Tell them Dan or 1010XL sent you. Spell it forwards or backwards. Zero Res. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res. Jacksonville's summer heat is coming in fast. Is your AC ready to handle it? Or will it quit on you on the hottest day of the year, leaving you sweating and stuck with a huge repair bill? Duck Air Conditioning is here to save the day with a free AC system inspection. Our expert techs will make recommendations to ensure your AC system is running in tip-top shape before the heat arrives. Call now, 904-862-6769. Duck Air Conditioning, duckac.com. Any required repairs are not included in the inspection.
With so many competitive pest services in town, you might wonder why Kingfish Pest Control's business is booming while similar companies seem to be struggling. It all comes down to service, affordability, and effectiveness. Kingfish Pest Control is a local family-owned company who delivers on their promises to effectively control pests like ants, spiders, roaches, termites, mosquitoes, and more. Your home is their priority, so call today and discover why your neighbors and your buddy Hayes Carlion trust Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jaguars.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, the Tuesday top 5 today really should be who are the other 4 best free agent signings in Jaguars history after our first guest of the day, the greatest receiver in team history. And, hey, Brian Thomas, got a bright future. You got a lot of work to do to catch this fellow right here.
You got to chase.
Yeah.
No doubt about that.
Jimmy put the bar out there. Of course, the great Jimmy Smith, the all-time leader in receptions, yards, touchdowns for your Jacksonville Jaguars. And he joins us right now to talk about a little bit about the glory days, but also what's going on these days with the Jags. Jimmy, good morning. Thanks for your time.
Good morning, guys. How y'all doing?
We're doing fantastic, man. You know, I went back and I looked at your saga a little bit to kind of refresh my memory yesterday. And I'd forgotten, not only had Dallas let you go, Philadelphia picked you up for a brief period of time and let you go. And then you sat out the 94 season before Tom Coughlin of the Jags took a chance on you in February of 1995. What was that year like out of football? What was going through your mind? Did you question whether you would ever have a career in the National Football League?
Well, I knew coming out of college that I was probably the best receiver coming out that year. Only one receiver went in the first round, and that was Desmond Howard / kickoff and punt returner. Carl Pickens was another guy out of Tennessee that was a big time prospect. I always knew that I could play, and when I turned on the TV that year that I was out, and I'm watching all these guys that were drafted behind me, some of them starting, and some of them just balling out of control. And that's the one motivating factor that kept my mindset in the right place of trying to continue to make an NFL ball club.
What can you remember about Tom Coughlin specifically reaching out to you during that time when you landed here in Jacksonville?
Well, correction, Coach Coughlin really didn't reach out to me.
Okay.
Fortunately, I had Larry Pasquale, who was the special teams coach in Philly the year before. And there's a story that Pete Carmichael had graded me all F's in the workouts. And it went across Larry Pasquale's desk, and Larry went to Coach Coughlin and vouched for me and was saying that I was good enough to make a team. And I remember Larry telling me that Coughlin's response was, if he's so good, why is he sitting at home? Good question. And typical Coughlin response. So I think that went a long way in me becoming a Jaguar.
Jimmy, as we look back, Jimmy Smith, greatest Jaguar receiver of all time, one of the greatest Jaguars, period, of all time, and hopefully one day a Pro Football Hall of Famer. Certainly the numbers make you deserving of that. It just, as you go through a little bit of these anecdotes here, it just reminds us, man, this is not a science, right? They want to make it a science, the draft and player evaluation. And you got one guy who grades you all Fs. You got another guy who absolutely believes in you. Obviously, Dallas believed in you. They picked you fairly high in the draft. It just goes to show a little bit. There's probably a lot of guys that have slipped through the cracks over the years that had the talent and just didn't find the right situation. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah. It's every year. Even if you drop back to college. When I was on these teams, the Cowboys, the Eagles, and the Jaguars, they were, I used to look around the locker room and I used to say, man, I played with some guys in college that were better than some of the guys in these locker rooms. And it's all about, you got to have a little luck. Obviously, you have to have the intangibles. You have to have the right mindset to push through those tough days in training camp to weather the storm in order for you to be able to make an NFL roster. And keep in mind, me and Mike Hollis were probably we got a great story where on cut day with the Jaguars, where me and him were kind of looking at each other across the room and kind of wondering who's going to be there and who's not. And as the day went on, it was we just kept making eye contact for some reason. And we were in the lobby and kind of pacing back and forth. Well, not the lobby, the players' lounge, and just pacing back and forth, waiting on that 2:00 meeting because we knew if we made it to 2:00 to the team meeting, we were on the team. And that was a special moment for me and Mike Hollis to kind of embrace and celebrate our victory in making the team and making it to 2:00.
I would have tried to hide, man. I've been in the bathroom or something until 2:05. I poked my head out. But, you went from looking across the players' lounge, not sure if you had a spot, to becoming Lightning and Money Mike. So if you earn a nickname like that, you've probably done okay for yourself.
No doubt.
Well, yeah, and you gotta say, there were a lot of people in my corner with the Jaguars, and like I said, Larry Pasquale, another guy, Ron Hill, who was a head scout for the Jaguars at the time. He was a scout in Denver when I was coming out of Jackson State, and I was projected to be a first round for the Denver Broncos that year, and they decided to take Tommy Maddox, and I dropped to the second round, and the Dallas Cowboys picked me up. So Ron Hill and Larry Pasquale are the two guys that I really give thanks for giving me the nod and going to Coughlin and vouching for me.
Jimmy, you obviously had a lot break against you, right? Those first couple of years of your NFL career. What finally came together? 2 o'clock comes and goes. You're on the roster here with the Jacksonville Jaguars. You've made the team. What finally broke right for you that the opportunities, the door started opening for you in your career here?
Well, I think it was all about timing and maturity. Even though I was very talented, it was hard for me to process the offensive play, especially in Dallas, because Michael Irvin and Alvin Harper weren't trying to let me break the line up. They would switch positions a lot. And it was just a matter of me embedding myself deep in that playbook, and I didn't do that in my early years. And once I got to the Jaguars, I realized, I got to learn these plays. I can't just go out there on talent and just wing it. And that's what I was doing a lot in those early years. And I got in that playbook and learned the blitz pickup and really honed in. And I think that was that was something that took me over the top and helping me, develop into a good player.
Of course, you came to the Jags, Jimmy, in 1995. Your running mate in the Thunder and Lightning duo, Keenan McCardell, came a year later, as did Leon Searcy, as did Clyde Simmons later on in the offseason. But what did that 96 group of free agents do to energize the locker room and the practice field as you guys started looking around? When did you realize that you might be able to be capable of doing some special things in 96?
Well, the guys that came in 96, I was looking around and I'm like, most of these guys were in the same draft, in the same 92, 91, 92 draft. And you can see what Coughlin was putting together. He's putting together a young team within, under 4 years of being in the NFL. And you can see it develop. Leon and Keenan came in, and that was, they filled some big holes and solidified those positions at right tackle and the slot receiver and our Z receiver, which is Keenan. But when Clyde Simmons came in, that was it. We needed a guy like that with leadership and poise and maturity, who had been there in Philly and won, and he brought a lot of stability to our defense. And with the competition that Keenan brought in, me and Keenan never competed against the defense. We would watch the film and study the defensive backs in their secondary, but we didn't compete against them. It didn't matter who we were going against because me and Keenan were competing against each other.
Jimmy, you mentioned a moment ago Denver being a potential draft landing spot for you there going into your NFL career. Was that in your mind at all when you were getting ready for that divisional round game at Denver after making the playoffs in 96?
Not at all. Not at all. I think enough time had passed to where, I didn't think about that. My kind of payback to Denver is when I was with Dallas in my rookie year, even though I wasn't on the field. I was with the Dallas Cowboys, and we were able to beat Denver and a lot of teams and go on and get 2 Super Bowls. So that took care of that, just winning those Super Bowls my first 2 years because it's so hard to get to the Super Bowl, let alone get to 2. And so what was left for me is not necessarily winning Super Bowls at that time, but making an NFL roster and making a home in Jacksonville. That was my ultimate goal.
Jaguar legend Jimmy Smith here with us for a few more minutes. Jimmy, who was the toughest cover for you? Who's the guy that gave you the most problems matching up with on defense?
I could pick a couple of guys. I think Samari Rolle stands out when you ask that question for Tennessee. He was tough, but Samari Rolle, they matched Samari Rolle up against Keenan a lot in 99 in those later years. They figured that Samari Rolle could take Keenan out, which he did sometimes, but most of the times he didn't, and roll the covers to me. I would think, Samari Rolle, maybe Champ Bailey was tough, and obviously Deion Primetime Sanders. Yeah. Just being on the same field as Deion and going against him, I was starstruck and forgot I was playing in a football game against him. Just to hear just the communication on the field between me and Dion, it wasn't braggadocious or anything like that. He was asking me, was I saved? Was I a born-again Christian? Was I going to church? And keep in mind, I take it he was trying to get me out of my game, but I don't know to the day if he was.
Do you have a favorite play from your career, Jimmy, looking back at it?
Oh, yeah. We had a play that was, called X-Read, which gave me the option on the backside to either run a speed out, a 12 to 13-yard speed out, or convert it to a go route. And, my forte was running the go route, so I was able to make both of those routes look the same. And, I was very good at getting behind the secondary, getting on top of the defense and catching a lot of those deep balls.
Yeah, we recall that. Yes, you were. You had the eyeball communication with Mark Brunell, too, right?
Yeah. And keep in mind, having Mark as a quarterback and us being to, communicate without talking and, having the eye contact, that went a long way as far as, both of our successes in the NFL.
Do you have, looking at it since you retired, Jimmy, at all the players that have played here in Jacksonville? You obviously didn't get the opportunity to play with them, including the guys that are on the field now, Brian Thomas Jr. and Trevor Lawrence. Do you have a player that's arrived here after you retired that you would most like to have had the opportunity to play with?
You said it. I would love to be on the field with Trevor and Brian Thomas Jr. I don't know who would play the X. We would have to run a lot of three wides and flip the formations. But and I can play the slot too. I used to play some slot. I wasn't just a perimeter receiver, but those two guys, Brian Thomas and Trevor, and they keep me watching the Jaguars even when we're not doing so well. So, Trevor and Brian are my favorite players.
Yeah, well, Brian's pretty good, right? But if you move to the slot, it's only by choice, all right? Nobody's moving you unless you decide you want to move out there. So let's wrap up with this. The great Jimmy Smith here with us. Jimmy, what do you make of – we got Liam Cohen in as the new head coach, James Gladstone as the new GM, and Tony Vaselli as the executive vice president. It's been a big season of turnover for the Jaguars. Where they stand right now, the direction they're heading, how do you feel about it?
Well, it's got to be better than what we had. Just leave it right there. It's much better than what we did had prior to them. I like our head coach Leon Cohen. Don't know if he's going to be able to get the job done yet. I think we're all kind of waiting to see. I like the fact that Tony Vaselli has gone in there and he's bringing the culture back. I like what he said about upgrading our offensive line and being able to push the ball down the field offensively so the skilled guys can spike it in the end zone. I really love that line that Tony said, and I hope Tony does well because me and Fred are kind of waiting in the wings to join him hopefully in the near future.
Amen to that, bro. And we look, Freddie's made it a little further in the process. Doesn't mean you're not deserving. We think it'll ultimately come. No reason that it shouldn't come quickly, right? I mean, your numbers stack up with the best. And for folks out there, I think this is very interesting. Maybe some of the younger Jaguar fans who didn't follow your career as it was happening. Your first real breakout season came at the age of 27 years old, and then at the age of 28, you started a string of 5 straight years going to the Pro Bowl. So, you showed you don't have to break out at 22 or 23. There still can be a lot of good football left in you.
Yeah, but just imagine had I broke out.
Oh, I bet you've imagined that a few times, huh?
Jerry Rice who?
Man, well, bro, let me tell you, again, go back and look at that 7-year run in particular, starting in 1996. Some numbers from Jimmy Smith stack up with the greats in the game because he was one of them. Jimmy, we wish you all the best always. Always a great opportunity to have you on the program. You're going to long be a Mount Rushmore player for this football team, and certainly the best free agent signing this organization has ever made, no matter who was responsible for it. And somebody just hit us up on Twitter, said, thank the football gods for Larry Pasquale being in Jacksonville at the time, man. That's a good little story you told us there. All the best. Life good for you right now?
Yeah. Just I'm a farmer now, so I got 21 head of cattle that I'm trying to manage and learn. And, it's, I got into it as a business, but they're my pets now. So I got 20-something girlfriends out there waiting on me to feed them hay and feed them sweet feed and take care of them. So that's my new hobby now.
You and T-Brack.
Yeah, look at Tony Bracken rubbing off
Oh,
on Jimmy.
yeah.
Right? You guys.
T-Brack and Gary Walker. They really. I've been chasing them for a while. They got big farms. I just got a small 200 acres, but they got the big 700 and 800 acre farms. But so I'm not sure if I want to be that big, but it's definitely a joy to take care of these cattle. They're God's creatures.
That's awesome, man. Well, you showed us that you could overcome a slow start to your NFL career. You can overcome a head start by T-Brack and Gary Walker, and if you choose to go that route. But we're glad life's good for you, man. And thanks for all the thrills and the many more conversations to come, we hope, and appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you guys for having me on this morning.
All right,
go
buddy.
Jags.
Yeah, go Jags indeed. At Jimmy Smith Jags on social media. If you're a Jaguar fan and you don't follow Jimmy Smith, you've been doing it wrong on social media. But I love Jimmy. Good to hear what he's up to. A cattle rancher, Tony, is what he's becoming right there. But what a good story with Larry Pasquale. He's like, no. This is the guy. Let's get him in here. And Jimmy Smith, when he got in here, he did not look back. So we appreciate the, without a doubt, number one free agent signing in the history of the Jacksonville Jaguars for joining us. Big Sir's going to join us next hour. Coming up, he'll be here before you know it. As we turn the page, Tony will take us around the league next. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. There's a reason why people love to listen to play-by-play on the radio.
This is unbelievable what we're witnessing. I'm serious.
1010XL, Jacksonville's home for play-by-play.
Mr. Chubby's Wings is giving away free beer again this year for the Madness Tournament.
Do they really give you a free pint of Miller Lite for each game you pick right?
Yes, all you got to do is fill out your bracket now at 1010XL.com. The overall winner gets tickets to Welcome to Rockville on Saturday. But for free beer, just download your bracket, print it out, and bring it into any Mr. Chubby's Wings location during the games. Every game you pick right, you get a free beer.
Go to 1010XL.com now. It's the Free Beer Chubby Madness Bracket Challenge. See Mr. Chubby's Wings Facebook for full contest details.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey, and I only like to recommend the best, which is why I'm proud to say that I chose Pella Windows and Doors for my own home. And now's a great time to upgrade your home with 0% financing for 60 months. That's 5 years of interest-free payments on the best windows and doors in the business. Don't wait. Schedule a free consultation at PellaJacks.com or visit their showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. For quality you can trust and savings you can't miss, that's Pella Windows and Doors.
What's the major difference between a crocodile and an alligator? The answer next.
Lightning, storms, and hurricane winds can ruin recent home improvements. Let Southern Oak Insurance review your policy today. Visit us online at southernoakins.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
While an alligator will see you later, a crocodile will see you after a while.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
1010XL celebrates high scorers.
1010XL and Southeast Orthopedic Specialists celebrate scholar athletes.
In class and on the court.
Brought to you by the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Local Union 234. Wednesdays on The Frangie Show.
Are you thinking about a pool for your home? Blue Haven Pools is Jacksonville's largest pool builder. They've built pools for over 20,000 satisfied families since 2000. It's never been easier to design the perfect pool for your home, family, and budget. Call Blue Haven Pools today at 904-620-0090 to get a free in-home estimate for your in-ground pool, or visit bluehaven.com. Don't let another summer pass by without a pool. Join thousands of happy Jacksonville pool owners in a Blue Haven pool.
Transform your bathroom with stunning shower glass from Sky Glass Solutions in Jacksonville Beach. For a free quote, call 904-608-5151 or visit skyglasssolutions.com.
Transmission troubles? I'm Robin Sidbury, owner of Action Transmission Specialist on Merrill Road. So come in and see how we can help solve your transmission troubles. We service all makes and models. Remember, get traction. Call Action at 744-0755.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold hard cash, so you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, often no appraisals. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day, so act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. Get the money you need for anything at 904-999-1508 or just go to LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Cool Cats Heating and Cooling, the coolest cats in town, setting the standard in our hometown. Quality service, the best around. Coolidge is the cat that cares about your heating and about your air. Cool Cats Heating and Cooling, the coolest cats in town.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code WEALTH to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code WEALTH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code WEALTH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
The Hoops action continues on the first Friday of the tourney. Watch the madness with 1010XL and enjoy madness specials all day long, starting with helmets and heels, live from Big Dog Sports Restaurant on Blanding. Then join XL Primetime at Barley and Pie in Fleming Island. The Frangie Show will be at String Sports Brewery in Jacks Beach, and finish the day with Into the Night with Rick Ballou and Hacker After Dark at Top Dog Tavern on Old St. Augustine Road. Now that's the way to celebrate hoop. I can't believe it!
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL local sports update, brought to you by Dogtopia Beach in St. John's Bluff. The Florida Gators men's basketball team clinched their first SEC tournament title since 2014 this past weekend. As they head into March Madness, head coach Todd Golden spoke after the game and emphasized the importance of staying humble.
I don't worry about being humble with this group very much. I think our whole staff and our whole team, we kind of consider ourselves underdogs. We don't find ourselves ever getting satisfied. Again, this was part of our growth of our program. Being able to compete for a championship last year, falling a little short, continuing to raise the level of our program in every facet, growing tighter and just getting better working together. This was kind of the next jump for us, was being able to come here and win this tournament in what is the best conference in college basketball over the last 20 years.
The Gators now turn their focus to their upcoming challenges in March Madness, aiming to build on their recent success as they take on Norfolk State on Friday. It's 66 degrees at 11:01. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Everything you need to know about the Jags. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, good stuff. Enjoy having Jimmy Smith on whenever we can get him. I just love the Jags luminaries that tie all the eras together. And Jimmy, like most guys who play for this organization for any period of time, really consider themselves as Jags fans. So good to hear he's doing well at this point, Tony. And he, in part, is the subject of today's 10-10 Take.
10-10 Take. Now, Mike Dempsey's 10-10 Take is serviced by Ideal Conditions Heating and Air, your go-to local HVAC company, veteran owned and operated.
That was me just mimicking young Denmark in there.
Yeah.
He knew it was coming, and he goes, it was one of those, I didn't have that ready to go.
That was
oh, shoot. Oh, darn. Man, I really thought you were not going to say shoot there for a second, but good job, young pup. All right, today's 10-10 Take. Jimmy Smith, Tony just made a comment to me about, we were talking about, Jimmy, he's the competitor, and we look at, man, what a great career that really took off at age 27, and his thought is, man, imagine if it didn't have to wait until 27, 92, 93, 94, 95, basically lost seasons for this guy, Tony, and you made the remark that if he had those seasons, probably never would have played here, and if he had done that in Dallas, he'd probably already be in the Hall of Fame. So I thought, what might be interesting, Jimmy Smith v. Michael Irvin. Michael Irvin's certainly worthy of the Hall of Fame, right? Mm-hmm. But it's particularly the rings on top of the numbers.
It's the Dallas thing.
Outstanding receiver, though, Michael Irvin. Nobody's trying to detract from him. Just to show you, though, what Jimmy Smith was able to do in a pretty comparable playing career. Jimmy started 150 games in his career. Michael Irvin started 147. Jimmy played in like 19 more, but he was primarily a special teamer early on. So it's fairly comparable. Jimmy has more receptions, more yards, more touchdowns than the touchdown maker.
Yeah.
The touchdown maker, Michael Irvin. He has more 1,000-yard seasons than Michael Irvin. Michael Irvin's got rings. If Jimmy had stayed healthy in Dallas and shown what he was capable of doing, he would have been the running mate of Michael Irvin for all those years, and maybe the Cowboys would have won 4 or 5 Super Bowls instead of the 3 they won in the 90s. But regardless, Tone, if you just put the numbers right next to Michael Irvin and you took the Super Bowl rings away, and I'm not saying you should take them away and they count and they're part of the story, Jimmy Smith stacks up very favorably to a guy that he was a no-doubt Hall of Famer, Irvin was. I mean, the fact that Jimmy's gotten as little consideration, I know he's made the semifinal list a couple of times, but I feel like people don't necessarily appreciate just how dominant he was for that period of time. So go check it out if you've got some time and you're so inclined. Put them side by side. It's not like Jimmy's like 100 miles ahead of Michael Irvin, but he is ahead of him in catches, yards, and touchdowns. And, he couldn't single-handedly lift the Jaguars to a championship. Considering what they did in an expansion era, Jimmy was a big-time winner here in Jacksonville as well. So, again, always great to have Jay Smooth on the program. So, that out of the way, let's see if he's ready for it. Dylan Denmark, let's go around the league.
Now, Gems Around the NFL, brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
Houston is signing cornerback Ronald Darby to a 1-year, $2.5 million deal. Darby started 13 games here in Jacksonville last season, wound up with no interceptions and 9 passes defensed, and allowing a career-worst 120 passer rating when targeted after back-to-back seasons where he was just under 70 in that stat.
Was this a condition of the Christian Kirk trade? All right, we'll give you 7, and we'll also sign Darby.
Yeah.
How would you feel about that? You have to keep him on the roster, though, okay? My gosh.
Philadelphia is signing edge rusher Azeez Ojulari to a 1-year, $4 million deal. Miami is signing quarterback Artie Burns to a 1-year deal. Cincinnati signing linebacker Oren Burks to a 2-year deal. Minnesota has released center Garrett Bradbury after a news story last week that they were trying to see if they could maybe figure out a trade for him. But now, a week later, they are releasing the former first-round pick there in Minnesota. And the New York Giants are hosting free agent quarterback Jameis Winston for a visit today.
Man, just thinking back again to what Jimmy Smith had to say about Jameis, of course, Florida State put Deion in my head there. Deion Sanders out there proselytizing Jimmy on the field.
Yeah.
Are you right with Jesus?
Uh-huh.
Because you ain't right with me right now. I got you on lockdown. And I mean, look, even Jimmy Smith, as good as he was, that's Deion Sanders, man. That's a whole other level of guy, especially early in Jimmy's career. Like, Deion was established. And he's like, yeah, I guess Champ Bailey gave me a few you guess, huh? Like, again, these are Hall of Fame level guys. And Samari Rolle was just, again, for the younger Jaguar generation, he was the thorn in the Jaguar passing game side.
No doubt.
Back in the day with Tennessee. And so anyway, good stuff there. Azeez Ojulari, Tony, it's interesting. I mean, what was it, 1 year, $4 million he got from Philadelphia? Like, that to me is, he's still young. Like, who's he blocking? Let's not block Azeez Ojulari. Spend $4 million, spend $5 million. If he's getting $4 million, bring him in for a year. I would have loved to have had the Jaguars sign Azeez Ojulari. Now, that being said, you know how social media is, right? And you know how fans are, well, he's not playing for us anymore. He stinks. And there was all that from the Giants fans yesterday on social media. Oh, this guy's terrible. Well, he gets to the quarterback, and he does a lot of it coming off the bench, and it's a pretty good success rate on a per rush basis. And it's a sub package rusher. He may not give you much in run defense, whatever. That's not what I'm looking for necessarily in that position. So he was definitely in my top 5. He was pretty high in my top 5 among free agents I wanted the Jags to take a look at this offseason.
No, he's fine in New York. Now, maybe he never quite lived up to the second-round draft status.
Oh, sure.
For Giants fans, and that's what they see in their head. It's like, this guy was never – it's like, okay, Philadelphia doesn't need him to be that. Philadelphia needs him to be, the fourth edge guy? Right? Like, what Philadelphia needs, he's perfect.
Exactly.
And in Jacksonville, if they were able to offer that kind of contract, and he would say, yeah, it's exactly what they need. A third edge guy who might give you 6 to 8 sacks. Thank you.
Now, look, he gets banged up, right?
Yeah.
And I get it, but that's why he's making $4 million, which it would, to real people, that's a lot of money, okay? Yes, NFL people are not real people. I said it, okay?
It's a different world.
It's a totally different world they live in, and good for them. But played every game as a rookie, had 8 sacks. Played only 7 games in 2022, had 5.5 sacks. Didn't do much in 23 with 2.5 sacks in 11 games, and played 11 games last year and bounced back with 6 sacks. Started about half the games in the last 3 years that he played, and so he's coming off the bench a good bit. And again, look, in Gladstone we trust, right? We've been down this road before. In Gene we trust, but you get the idea. They have a vision. I fully respect their agency to go out there and execute that vision. And he basically said, James Gladstone, we don't want a veteran coming in here blocking the path of some rookie that we draft. We want to get these guys on the field and up to speed as quickly as possible. I just think Ojulari is still young enough. Yeah. He's like 25 years old. You could have had him for $5 million apparently for 1 year. There's no long-term cap ramifications. You don't know if that edge rusher you draft is going to be ready. And if he is, you put the $5 million guy on the bench if necessary.
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine if were in a world where the Jags signed Ojulari to a 1 year, $5 million deal. Among all the other stuff they did in free agency, it would be at or near the top of the guys that got me most excited about.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
If they had made that
investment
kind of move.
included, right?
Right. Like the McCary thing would still be okay. The flexibility of that guy would be towards the top of the list. But if Ojulari had been a part of it too, it would have been like,
for $5 million. Yeah. I feel like that's a missed opportunity for a lot of teams out there. But then again, look, why is he available a week into free agency for only $4 million on a 1 year prove-it deal? Well, mostly because of health, I think, is what it is. He hasn't stayed healthy. All right. 7, 11. At 11 games over the last 3 years. So he's missed, 22 games in 3 years? That's a lot.
It's a lot.
But at that investment, that's not a big investment, So
that's 1 year, $4 million.
That's a coup
for
the Philadelphia Eagles, and they don't need any more coups. They're sitting on the top of the heap right now. All right, we are going to sit back and talk to Big Searcy. Coming up next, always enjoy our conversations with Leon, but particularly today as we look at the top 5 free agent signings in Jacksonville Jaguar history. It was either 3 or 4, I think. You had him at 3, I think, and I had him at 4. Was that the way it worked out?
I had Leon at 4.
I think we both, Dylan might have had him at 3.
I had him at 3.
All right, so Leon will say nice things about Dylan when he comes on. But Big Sur's going to join us coming up next, talk about his days with the Jaguars, but also get his perspective on what's been going on this offseason. I know he discusses it a bunch on XL Primetime. You'll hear him coming up next on Jaguars Today here on 1010XL 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods, driving around town. Man, it's gorgeous weather out there. How about this? Roll down the window, but when you do, point out that window when you see that gate station and swing on in. Maybe fill up your tank, but definitely fill up your belly with some delicious items from Dandy Foods. Dandy has been a Jacksonville-based company for nearly 70 years now, and they just do things right. What do I mean by that? Well, they use the highest quality ingredients in all of their food. They locally source it as often as possible, give you great variety, never settling for just a few wonderful items. They've got tens of wonderful items on their menu, and it's not a literal menu, but go walk into a gate station and head to the fresh case, and you'll be overwhelmed by how many options that Dandy offers you, and the prices, they won't overwhelm you. They're going to hit you in a sweet spot in your wallet. So if you're driving around Duval and you're hungry, Dandy is absolutely the name to know. So do what I do. Go out and make yours a Dandy. Do it today.
Taking your sports day into the night.
Guaranteed to give you unbelievable power.
Into the night with Rick Ballou.
That guy could be a movie star.
The Hacker After Dark.
They happen to be the hottest thing in the country.
Evenings on 1010XL. Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL.
Do the Garber wiggle, Garber wiggle, 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 Garber wiggle.
Tired of spending all day looking for a new truck? Then stop. At Garber Auto Mall, you can see every new American-made truck side by side. Chevy, GMC, Buick, Ford, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Visit us at GarberAutomall.com or in Green Cove Springs. And remember, at Garber Auto Mall, there is always a little room for wiggle.
Garber wiggle, Garber wiggle, 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 Garber wiggle.
Home is where your story begins. And at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, we're here to make it the healthiest, most comfortable place it could be. Whether it's fresh, clean air, dependable plumbing, or reliable power, we take care of it all. From routine maintenance to state-of-the-art solutions, Donovan keeps your home running smoothly. Because at Donovan, we believe your home isn't just where you live, it's where your health meets comfort. Call Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing at 904-270-COOL or visit us online. Let's make your home healthier, safer, and better together.
DUI, BUI, don't stress. Call me Malcolm Anthony at 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW for Malcolm Anthony.
Hey, this is David with Royal Pest Services. The fact that we've been bundled up the past month gave us an idea. Let's bundle up also with our Centricon and Pest Control bundle, starting at $349. Visit RoyalPestServices.com for your free inspection.
St. Johns County parents, does your kid have energy to burn? Want them to play a sport for their middle school? Sign up today for the St. John's Middle School Athletic Association. Spring pickleball, tackle football, dance, and cheerleading. Who doesn't want their kid to be the next NFL quarterback or dance floor diva? Hurry, time is running out. March is almost over. You know how fast your kid can go from playing Xbox to practicing their touchdown dance or sideline cheer? Sign up at sjmsaa.org. sjmsaa.org.
Keep the offseason rolling with AA Automotive at 1010XL, which free agents could look good in a teal jersey.
That's a beautiful thing.
Free agency profiles are covered by Universal Roof and Contracting. Experience the universal difference. Take your taste buds to One Night Taco Stand for Taco Tuesday. Get $2.99 tacos and $6.99 specialty drinks. The 1010XL restaurant of the day is One Night Taco Stand, Mandarin, Orange Park, and Southside at Bay Meadows.
It's the Hard Rock Bet Battle of the Bets. 2 bets facing off. Winning side splits $250K in bonus bets every single day. Time to pick a side. Team underdogs or team favorites. Team over or team under. There's one way to settle this. Hard Rock Bet Battle of the Bets. Pick a side for $1. Win your share of $250K or more today. Prize pool will be paid out in bonus bets, not a cash offer. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Jacksonville's most esteemed eye doctors at each of their locations.
After being selected for one of the most competitive ophthalmology fellowships in the world, Dr. Frank Bowden is frequently called upon for his expert opinion. He is currently one of the few cornea and external disease specialists in the area and the founder of Bowden Eye. Visit Bowden Eye & Associates today and experience the difference. Bowden Eye & Associates, keeping the first coast focused.
A lot of companies will tell you they're the best. At Custom Tree Surgeons, they show you every time. Custom Tree Surgeons has built an all-pro team. Every tree service professional has years of experience, continually trained and certified. They know what, when, and how to handle any job. It gets done efficiently and quickly by a team of experts. So for tree trimming, removal, stump grinding, and emergency services, forget any name other than Custom Tree Surgeons. There is no job they can't do better. Go to website CustomTreeSurgeons.com. That's CustomTreeSurgeons.com, and let them show you how the job is supposed to get done.
Go to the Green every Saturday morning.
Happy learned how to putt.
And get golf tips and talk to help make your golf game more fun on the Edwin Watts Golf Hour. Saturday morning at 10 on 1010XL.
Struggling with ED? Now Riddle Wellness has a solution that works. You've heard of PRP treatments for joint pain relief. That same technology is now available with the P-Shot, a non-surgical treatment for ED. Using your body's natural power, the P-Shot helps restore function naturally. No pills, no downtime, just results. Schedule a free consultation at elevatejacksonville.com and learn what the P-Shot can do for you. Riddle Wellness, your health, your confidence totally restored. Visit elevatejacksonville.com.
Hey, gang, Prosser here. Are you ready to sell your home? I got an easy game plan. Call Chad and Sandy, the only agents I would call to sell my home. The economy is showing positive signs. It might be time to sell, and your home will get you the price you want with Chad and Sandy. It's easy to find out. Get friendly expert help from the Jacksonville agents who eat, drink, and sleep local real estate. Call agents Chad and Sandy Newman. Maybe you're worried about costly repairs or upgrades needed to sell your home. Guess what? You don't need to. No required costly repairs. Pick your move date. There are no long-term contracts, and you can cancel at any time. But it comes down to the Chad and Sandy guarantee. Your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. All problems have disappeared. Pete in Lakeshore says, I was in a pickle. I needed to cash out on a rental property fast. I was struggling to rent. I heard Chad and Sandy on the radio, called. I had an offer for full asking price within days. Join the local success stories by calling Chad and Sandy at 904-414-6200 or going to chadandsandy.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Hey, you, what you gonna do? Hey, you, what you gonna do?
Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
I wonder how our next guest, our good friend Leon Searcy, is going to feel about this walk-up music right here, talking about the best free agent signings in Jacksonville Jaguar history. And you know what? He also doubles as a pretty damn good host here on 1010XL. Big Searcy joining Jaguars Today this morning. Good morning, Leon. How are you?
Good morning, Mike. Hey, listen, I appreciate that song. That's my theme music, my walk in the studio music.
If that's what it is, then we're happy we played it for you right here this morning. How are you, man? How are things?
I'm doing great, bro.
Yeah, saw you out at the Players a little bit. We don't bump into each other as much. We got a 2-hour block in between, but we certainly listen to everything you've got to say, and we'll get to the modern era of Jaguar football and get your thoughts on it coming up, man. But let's go back. We're running it back a little bit. 4 of my 5 best free agent signings in Jaguar history were, yourself included, Jimmy Smith, Keenan McCardell, Clyde Simmons. That era of Jaguar football. Leon, as you joined this team in 96 and Keenan joined and you saw the breakout of Jimmy Smith and Clyde Simmons came in late in August and added to this team, how quickly did you get the feeling that 96 team could have a little something for the rest of the NFL?
Well, you got to remember the first part of the season. I mean, I think we started 3-6, 4-7, or something like that. And what was the problem with a bunch of the veterans on the team is that, I mean, you know, Tom Coughlin was working as like muse, and we weren't seeing any effects of winning, you know, for the work that we had to put in. So it was a little frustrating in the locker room, especially among the veteran guys who had been other places, because, you know, I didn't experience anything like that in Pittsburgh. I mean, this grueling practice, 3.5-hour practicing, the running, the rules, all the commitments. to the weight room and the conditioning. I mean, it was brutal. I mean, listen, we had full pad Fridays, okay? Full pad Fridays where we do it live goal line for the games on Sunday. So the first part of the season, man, was very frustrating for me, coming off a team that just went to the Super Bowl. But then when we got our act together and Tom let up a little bit and realized the talent that he had in that locker room, we went on a nice little streak. And, the frustrations of 96 early on turned out a lot better towards the end.
Why ultimately did you choose Jacksonville in free agency, Leon?
Well, I tell you what, when I came out of free agency right after the Super Bowl, I remember ESPN had like their top 10 free agents. And I was like sitting there right in the middle at number 5. And there wasn't a lot of teams that were offering me because they figured that I was going to be a staple. I was going to stay in Pittsburgh. And that's what the rumor was. It was not a lot of teams that were looking at me because they figured that Leon was just going to stay in Pittsburgh. So I asked Drew Rosen. I said, Drew, I mean, what's the deal with the Steelers? Because the Steelers offered me a deal in the beginning of the season, what was 4 years, $8 million. Then towards the end of the season was 4 years, $11.5. And Drew basically told me, hey, listen, the Steelers are stuck on that 11.5, and Drew felt that was way too low for an ascending right tackle in the NFL. So I told Drew to make it happen. It didn't happen, and then Drew pulled one of his stunts. He says, I told him that the Steelers were telling me that I wasn't good enough for Drew, and I didn't believe Drew. So Drew had me on three-way and called the Steelers. You got to remember, I was impressionable. I was 24, 25 years old, and I heard the Steelers not understand the art of negotiating, where high, they low, and we meet the middle. The Steelers were bad. They were badgering me. Leon's not the best offensive lineman. I wasn't. Damani was. Leon's not this. Leon's a system guy. Leon. So when I got off the phone, I said, the hell with the Steelers. That's not the exact words I said. I said, the hell with the Steelers. And then 2 days later, Drew called me and said, hey, man, I got a team in Florida because I wanted to get back to Florida. I got a team in Florida that wants you to come take a visit. And I said, who? He said, the Jaguars. And I said, the Jaguars? I said, the Jaguars suck. I swear I said that. I said, they were 4-12 last year. He said, take a flight. I went down there and met Wayne Weaver, met Tom Coughlin, and they assured me that they were going to build a champion down in Jacksonville, and then I signed with them.
Well, you certainly did. And Coughlin, Leon, as you're well aware, leading into 95, talked about trying to build a team to compete and beat the Steelers, compete with and beat them because they were in the same division. They were kind of the gold standard, and you came from that environment to come here. So I would imagine that rivalry carried extra importance for you throughout the rest of your career.
It did. And the first game of the season in 96 was against the Steelers. And some of my teammates on the other team were badgering me a little bit. I'll never forget what Deion Figures said to me one day on the field. He said, Big Sirs, you left the man of steel to become a putty cat? I said, wow. He got me. That was pretty good. That was a good one. He said that on the field during the game. But, yeah, it was a big rivalry going up against my former teammates because I knew with the Steelers organization and Bill Cowher that if you were going to beat the Steelers, you had to out-tough them. You had to be the more physical team. You had to punch them in the mouth because they weren't going to flinch. And I was telling the guys in Jacksonville, in order to beat that team, man, you've got to play their brand of ball. You got to be physical. You got to be tough. And you got to swing blows the whole for 13, 14 rounds. You're going to have to fight these guys. And I told them, and I said, until we beat them at home, it really doesn't matter. And then in 98 and 99, we swept them. So I knew we had something special moving forward.
Leon, over the years, we've talked to plenty of people that you practiced and played against, and they've talked about the legendary punch that you had as a player. Thinking back, outside of maybe punching Hacker here in the studio, do you have a most satisfying punch in your career?
Yes. And I know no one want to believe me, but in 1994, you look at it on YouTube, 1994, Pittsburgh versus Green Bay, I punched Reggie White and dropped him.
Oh! You dropped him?
Yeah, I dropped him.
Wow. I mean, look, I'm not surprised you like stunned him or you I don't know how many guys have dropped Reggie White like that.
1994, Pittsburgh versus Green Bay was the last game of the season. No, okay, when I say I dropped him, he leaped a little bit. Okay, so I didn't. He leaped a little bit, and I punched him, and he fell back.
Tiny bit. Tiny bit.
Yeah,
He did.
he might have got a little vertical in. All right, so well, I mean, I'm exasperating the story a little bit.
That's all right. But you know what? I'm going to be scouring YouTube to find that clip, man. Look, I'm not doubting you. Bro, I would not mess with you. I don't know many people that would. You are a fearsome individual. You were on the football field. And as Tony pointed out earlier, you did have to be the blindside protector here. I think that gets overlooked sometimes at how good a player you were because, you know, that's always been the thing with the left tackle. You're protecting the quarterback's blind side. Not that Baselli isn't deserving of his Hall of Fame status, man, but what was that like? How much did that change your game or approach playing with a left-handed quarterback?
Listen, I think the best thing that the organization did for me is to not tell me that I was Mark Bunnell's blind side. Because I just played the game like a right tackle plays the game. A tough, physical, got after you. I mean, if they had told me, hey, listen, you got to protect Mark Bunnell's blind side, I probably would have put a lot more pressure on myself. By them not telling me that, I just went about my business being, you know, trying to be one of the best right tackles in the league. You know, I wanted to be physical. I wanted to punish you. I wanted to hit you with my hands. I wanted to get after you. And I did all that. So the Jaguars were smart. They didn't put that in my psyche. They never told me, hey, we're bringing you here to be Mark Bunnell's blindside protector. No, we're bringing you here because you're one of the best right tackles in the league, and we need you across from Baselli. So I thank the Jaguars for never telling me that. When I was in the game, I never thought that I was protecting Mark Bunnell's blindside. I just knew I was protecting Mark Bunnell.
Leon, looking at the team now, what are your expectations for Anton Harrison going into year 3?
Well, you know, I every right tackle that comes into the league is coming to over the last 5 years. After their rookie year, I've been on their bandwagon. I mean, Cam Robertson, Juwan Taylor, and I get on their bandwagon their first year, and then their second year they disappoint me. So I'm not getting on any more bandwagons. They disappoint me their second years. Because, you know, when Cam Robinson came here, his rookie, I said, man, this kid's a stud. He's going to be an all-pro. And then injuries and disappointing seasons. But Anton Harris, I think he can be okay. He had a down year last year. I mean, the whole team had a down year last year. So that didn't reflect well with him. He's got good transition out of his stance. He moves fluently. He holsters his hands a little bit too much, and then he's late on his punches sometimes. But he's a physical specimen. He's big, he's strong. He's very physical. I like to see him get after it a little bit more in the run game, a little bit more consistency in the run game. But as far as his pass protection, only one time I saw him get annihilated was against Chris Jones. And that's expected. That was his rookie year. Chris Jones, he was late with his hands. Chris Jones was grabbing his hands and whipping and moving them and then bull rushing them and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of unfair. But the rest of his rookie year was pretty decent. But last year, I think he took a step back a little bit last year. Needs to work a little bit more on his fundamentals and staying low, and then he has to improve upon his run game blocking a little bit.
Jags, Leon, obviously signed what we project to be a couple of starters in Patrick McCary and Robert Hainsey at right guard and center. Chuma Edoga also to provide some depth on the offensive line. Just focusing in on that trio, have they added enough? Where are you at now in terms of your comfort level with the guys protecting Trevor Lawrence?
Well, I mean, it's the off season, so I'm always optimistic on the off season. So I've got to believe that they're doing the necessary. They had to look at the offensive line and the roster in general and say we need to upgrade. I mean, because these guys aren't splashes. These guys are they're utility. You know, they're utility guys. I mean, you got guys offensive lineman who just started 1 year. You got offensive lineman who was replaced by a rookie that they drafted. And then you got another offensive lineman who's played 10 games over 2 seasons. So, in my impression, that's not a splash. That's just guys building depth on the offensive line, guys that can compete and make guys that are starting right now a little bit uncomfortable. But that's just my impression right now. A lot of that can change once we get in mini camps and we get in the training camp. More than likely, those guys are probably going to end up being starters. But I still want a guard or two in the draft if possible.
He'll be under contract here in Jacksonville for the next 3 years. How long do you expect Walker Little will be the team's left tackle?
I think he might. This depends. Walker's just got to be a lot more consistent. I mean, initially when I see Walker Little in training camp, I said last year, I said that you can't stay here. I said if I'm his agent, because he's a big kid, he's very athletic. I said if you don't get a starting job last year, you're going to get swing tackle money next year. You gotta demand to start or be traded. But he felt comfortable being the swing tackle, and he got swing tackle money. You know, elite tackle money is like Panay Sue, 130, 100, or 80, 90, something like that. So, I mean, he seems to be comfortable in this position. If he could just stay healthy and be a little bit more consistent with his pass protecting, I could see him staying here over the duration of his contract. I have no problem with that.
Well, let's hope they all play up to the peak of their ability this year, man. And that goes for a lot of positions around this football team. But today, not as much about that as honoring guys like yourself and Jimmy Smith as being some of the best decisions, best transactions, best additions the Jags have ever made in free agency, Leon. And, man, you guys had some dogs on those teams back in the 90s. As we think back, hopefully they'll get to that point with the 2025 crew and going forward. But we always appreciate catching up with you. It's not as frequent as it used to be, but have a great day on prime time later on this afternoon. And thanks for taking some time out with Jaguars Today this morning.
No problem.
All right. You got it, buddy. Leon Searcy, who you hear from weekdays right here from 2 to 4 on 1010 XL. Definitely one of the best free agent additions the Jaguars ever saw fit to add to this roster in any era. All right, good stuff there. One segment to go. We'll take a look at some of your top 5 lists that you submitted on the greatest free agent signings the Jaguars have ever pulled off. That straight ahead on 1010 XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Pella Windows and Doors. You know how beautiful it is outside? I do, because I can look right through my sliding glass door, through the backyard, out onto the golf course, and it's absolutely spectacular out there. Pella is simply the best in the industry. Don't take my word for it. You can, because I have them in my home. I love them, but Consumer Reports will tell you the exact same thing. And right now, it's a great time to upgrade your home with 0% financing for 60 months. Pella Windows and Doors online at PellaJacks.com or visit their showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. That's Pella Windows and Doors.
Where electrifying moments come to life.
Inside of a minute to play.
And legendary performances lead.
A monumental milestone in a legendary career.
1010XL. The power of Jacksonville Sports Radio.
AA Automotive helps keep your vehicle in dependable and safe condition. Call Sam, Harry, or Joe, and they'll check your brakes, tires, fluids, electric, and motor, so your ride runs smooth on the road. That's AA Automotive on Richard Street.
Your hole-in-one for men's health is Ackerman Urology. With offices in Mandarin, Middleburg, World Golf Village, and the beaches, Ackerman will get you on par for any prostate conditions and sexual vitality. Visit AckermanUrology.com.
Barley and Pie Brewing Company is Fleming Island's first and only craft brewery. Founded by the co-founder and brewmaster of Wicked Barley, Barley and Pie serves up local brews made right in your backyard. Hungry? Dive into their sourdough Neapolitan pizza, made fresh in-house every day. Find your new go-to spot in Fleming Island at Barley and Pie Brewing Company.
Duck Duck Air Conditioning is here to save the day with a free AC system inspection. Call now, 904-862-6769. Duck Duck Air Conditioning, duckduckac.com. Any required repairs are not included in the inspection.
I open the door and take you inside the locker room to get you closer to the field, the players and coaches you care about.
Get a look at Hayes' blog on 1010XL.com.
My blog is brought to you by Roland Reese Plumbing,
where quality and experience count. Jaguars Today for the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and there's so many cool products that are on the line at Cycles of Jacksonville. The showroom is Atlantic and Regency, and we're talking, Greg, you've got from any level of price point, the experienced rider to the inexperienced on-road, off-road.
We've got it. We've got ATVs, we've got motorcycles, we've got scooters, we even have the new Honda boats. We've got something for everyone.
Don't forget about the boat line from Honda. It's all right there, waiting for you. Atlantic and Regency or Cycles of Jacksonville's Facebook page.
Homeowners, listen up. It's time to start fresh in 2025. Prosser here, and Loan Pronto is here to help take control of your finances in 2025 by lowering your house payments and consolidating that nagging debt. Did you know that 9 out of 10 borrowers get a better deal by calling Loan Pronto? Right now, Loan Pronto has some of the most competitive offers for refis, debt consolidation, and purchase loans, starting in the low 5s APR. If your current rate is over 6%, don't settle for paying too much. Even if you're in process with another lender, call Loan Pronto now. Lock in at a lower rate today and close in as little as 2 weeks, often with no appraisal. You can even skip your next 2 house payments. It's fast, easy, and hassle-free. Get your personalized Loan Pronto rate quote instantly with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees. Call now, 904-999-1508, or go to loanpronto.com. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLS, consumeraccess.org.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad Pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
This free agency profile is brought to you by Universal Roof and Contracting. Experience the universal difference.
Former Vikings tight end Johnny Munt is headed to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Although his receiving numbers as a tight end don't jump off the screen, it's what he does as a blocker that makes him such a key contributor on rosters. When it comes to getting the Jaguars offense back on track, the running game is going to play a key role. And rest assured, they'll look to Munt's elite blocking ability to help the Teal and Black in their run attack.
Haymaker Coffee is a local coffee brand to help fuel your daily grind. Why Haymaker? It's fuel for the morning hustle, the late night, and every step of the way. Bold flavors for the bold city. Online at haymakercoffeeco.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
All right, Tuesday Top 5 was a rousing success today. Thanks to Jimmy Smith and Leon Searcy for joining us on the program today. Tone, we didn't get all of the top 5 to join us on the radio. I did put the bat signal out for Clyde Simmons yesterday.
Yeah.
We've never had Clyde on Jaguars Today.
I saw on Twitter, and I went and looked at his profile, and I was like, it's what we have. It's the option we have available to us to reach out to him, but he hadn't been on this in 2 years.
No, and right. And so he's probably not checking it. And I tried to DM him, and you have to be a verified user to DM him. And so I'm not paying anything for Twitter. And so I just sent him a tweet and said, hey, if you see this, we're flexible. Doesn't have to be tomorrow, but so who knows? I'd love to get it. And,
so now we stick Dylan on it. Figure out a way.
Come on, Dylan. Clyde Simmons. He's coaching at some school in Tennessee, right? Yeah.
Tennessee State, so you reach out to the...
the old school we just would call the athletic director, right? Or the athletic department. Right.
Oh, my. The SID.
The SID, right? That's what I meant. You don't call the athletic director, but, I was a terrible producer back in the day. Let me just tell you, because I was thinking about this the other day. This is one of my favorite producer stories, right? It has nothing specifically to do with the Jaguars.
Mm-hmm.
Tony's heard it a bunch of times. It was Hacker, and he was producing the show at another network, And I said, I need somebody on to talk Auburn football. And so, Hacker, go get him, right? Go get the play-by-play guy. Go get somebody. Just teach him. Be aggressive. Go out there.
Yeah.
Look at the number. Call the athletic department. Hey, want to talk to coach? Whatever. Okay, so just do it. So Hacker goes, man, I called Auburn. Got the coach on the line. I said, hey, coach, how'd you like to join us to talk a little Auburn football? Coach replies, I don't know nothing about it. And he hung up on him. I don't know nothing about it. And I'm like, what a rude response. Like, can you not just, I don't know, say I'm busy, no thank you, whatever the case. I don't know nothing about it. Click. So Hacker's relaying this to me. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm defending Hacker like, good for you. Hacker's like 21 years old at the time. This is a big deal for him. He's grown up an SEC fan. He's going to talk to the play-by-play guy, whatever. And I guess they had a different play-by-play guy for the two major sports, right? Years later, as I'm recounting this anecdote, Hacker's like, yeah, what's the basketball play-by-play guy I called? Well, that explains why he didn't know nothing about it. You don't want to talk Auburn football? I don't know nothing about it. Click. What? So I don't know. This is 20-something years ago. I don't know who, it's pretty common to have a play-by-play guy do both football and basketball.
Yeah.
I guess it's not universal.
But most colleges, that's not uncommon. Yeah.
Not uncommon at all. So all those, years, I was thinking, man, what a weird thing. What a weird response he got from the Auburn play-by-play. What do you mean you don't know nothing about it? And he's like, well, yeah, it was the basketball guy. Well, why'd you call him? It was
Hacker
so good.
is an ass.
I didn't say that. Now, who said that? Come on.
That's Prosser. This was years ago.
Goodness, man, that's taking it a step far. We love Hack, man, but Hack has provided some phenomenal anecdotes and stories over the years, for sure, and
no doubt.
Has done quite well for himself. Has his own show, excellent job, and all that stuff. But that one just, man, for years, Tony. How many times did we hear that? I don't know nothing about it. And then, it's not the same guy.
Yeah.
Somebody called me up, wanted to talk Duquesne lacrosse. I also told him I don't know nothing about it. Click.
Got nothing for you.
Oh my goodness. All right, so. Let's look at some of the replies we got. I'm not going to repeat every single name over and over again. And I told you, look, if you don't know Jaguar lore, if you're a younger Jaguar fan, then maybe you're not going to remember some of these guys. And maybe, I think there's something with, I think people think the Jags traded to get Jimmy Smith. I think that must be something, because they did, somebody asked me on the text line, right?
But yeah.
Somebody asked me on the text line, what about Burnell? Well, they traded for Burnell, so he wasn't a free agent, right? So they gave, I think, a third and a fifth to get him from Green Bay. But, Jimmy was out of football for a whole year, right? Didn't play in 93 or 94, but was not even on a roster in 94. Anyone could have signed Jimmy Smith. And Tom Coughlin's the one who took a chance on him, thanks to Larry Pasquale, apparently. And so anyway, here Scott goes with Calais, Posluszny, Keenan, Josh Lambo, and Leon Searcy. Lambo was an excellent sign until it fell apart that last year. He was lights out. Like, that's kind of the nature of kickers, though, right? They go to one place. Jason Myers has had a nice career. Couldn't hit the broadside of a barn here. Had the powerful leg. Cristiano going 5-1. Calais, Mike Pete, Big Searce, Keenan, Jimmy. Let's see. Mr. Wheeler, Paul Posluszny, Calais, Malik Jackson, Foyer, getting some love. Mike Pete getting some love. Another one with Peterson, Aluakin, Keenan, Calais, Jimmy Smith. Let's see if I can find honorable mention Evan Ingram on this one. A lot of Posluszny. Somebody said 5. Do we have 5 best? Yeah, we got 5 best. We got some great free agent signings in history. Not everything is the recent era of Jaguar football, right? And unfortunately, there's been too much of that. But even if you just look in the last 10 years, if you just look at that 2017 class of guys they signed, I mean, Calais and Boye were amazing in their brief time here.
They were.
That first year of Boye. I mean, it only Calais himself, because like Jimmy's first year wasn't a huge year in Jacksonville. Keenan's was a Pro Bowl season, so that was instant impact. But in terms of instant impact, Calais, A.J. Boye, Keenan McCardell, Big Searce. Like, I don't have stats to look at Leon. Leon was great the moment he walked in the door here. Missed one game in a 4-year period. Let's see here. This one's got Boye, disciple of Duval, Jimmy Smith, Calais, Boye, Mike Pete, and Foye Aluakin. Go Jaguars goes Mayor of Saxonville, Big Searcy, Keenan, Paz, Kyle Brady. He's been mentioned in a few of these. Kyle Brady was a very good player for this football team. Just scrolling through, I think Malik Jackson. Two of my favorites that aren't top 5 are Justin Forsett and Sinderick Marks. Who doesn't love Sinderick Marks? Yeah. Justin Forsett's a really good dude as well. And that's Brandon just giving a love to some of his favorite players who came here via free agency. So anyway, in the end, I don't know if anybody that they signed this year is going to qualify. My guess is no, right? I mean, they didn't go after that level of big fish in the big spending department, Tony. But it's interesting. I feel like, Leon's take on the offensive line is a little bit more muted. Did you get that? Like, hey, these guys are in. They're going to compete. Like, I feel like McCary is it. He's the starting guard for the next couple of years at least, and with great versatility. But if you did draft an interior offensive lineman and you just couldn't keep him off the field, having McCary to back up everywhere along the offensive line ultimately wouldn't be the worst situation either.
Well, he's the only one of the 3 that they're giving what would be approaching starter money, right? So the expectation is and should be that he's going to be starting somewhere on the offensive line for the team,
right,
regardless.
The 3 offensive linemen assigned,
regardless of whatever else they might do in the draft. Along the offensive line, McCary's going to be starting somewhere for him.
All right, so with that, let's say hello to Helmets and Heels.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
It's catchy.
Hi, Taylor Dahl. It is. I mean, we're all doing it around these parts these days. I'll find myself probably singing that in the car on the way home today. What's coming up today on the Helmets and Heels broadcast?
Yeah, we have some fun stuff as March Madness kicks off. Both Lauren and Mia have some little fun tidbit facts to help people fill out their brackets of what's worked and some trends and stuff from previous years of a way to win your bracket. So they'll both have some of that going on. We're also going to talk to Zach Alboverdi. He's of Gators Online to talk about the Florida Gators, too. We'll get into some of the NFL, some of the moving parts around the NFL right now, too. So all sorts of stuff, but a lot of basketball today.
Are you the bracket queen again this year?
I am the bracket queen, yes. It's been a lot of years now of the bracket queen.
Where's your throne for the empty brackets?
So the empty ones are sitting up front.
Okay.
Yeah. And well, actually, I guess Molly, I might be passing the torch to Molly as the bracket queen.
Shed a tear. Bracket queen is moving on to bigger and better things.
Will there be a deep dive into the Cubs' 3 hits to start the Major League season?
Yeah, that was a fun one. A 6 a.m. Baseball game for 3 hits is fun. But yeah, I will maybe talk a little bit about Cubs because we do have our highlights coming on. So.
It's funny. They had a bet. I was listening to VSiN over the weekend, which we air here on 1010XL, and might have been 2 weeks ago, but whenever it was, they were talking about one of the popular prop bets is first team to 10 wins. Mm-hmm. And the teams with the best odds were the Dodgers and the Cubs because they're playing these 2 early games.
Yeah.
But then the schedule's going to catch up. It's not like they're going to be weeks ahead of everyone else. Like they're going to be 2 games ahead.
Yeah.
But then by the 8th game, everyone's going to have
be around the same.
Right, exactly. So it was weird to me that it was. I get the Dodgers.
Dodgers
are
a pretty good bet.
Yeah.
Right, the Dodgers are great, whether they're getting the early start or not.
Yeah.
But
they might have 10 wins in 10 games, honestly. But it is kind of weird how they did it because it's the Cubs and Dodgers have these 2 games in Japan. Then they come back and have 5 more spring training games, and then their season technically kind of, I guess, starts after that, after a 2-game start.
Yeah, I think I saw Freddie Freeman wasn't even in the lineup this morning.
Yeah, it was honestly, it almost felt like an exhibition game, but it wasn't. It was real. So.
All right. Well, there you go. It's Cubs baseball. So there you go. It's almost like an exhibition game, but it's real.
Yes,
all right.
Pretty much.
Have a great show today.
Thank you.
Taylor Dahl. And every day, for that matter, that you broadcast. Taylor Dahl with Helmets and Heels coming up next. Thanks again to Jimmy Smith and Leon Searcy for joining us today.
That was awesome.
2 of the top 5 and all of our in-house rankings of the best free agents in Jaguar history. Tomorrow is Mock Draft Wednesday. Are we confirmed on our guest for tomorrow, Dylan?
Yes, sir. 10:35 tomorrow. Chad Ryder.
Yes, NFL.com. And we'll do our 7-round mock tomorrow. I've already put one in the books that I love. I might play around with it again this afternoon. Go to Pro Football Network. You can do a free 7-round mock. You know the drill by now. We've been doing these for, I don't know, a couple months on Wednesdays or thereabouts. All right, that does it for us today. For Tony Smith and Dylan Denmark, I'm Mike Dempsey. Have a great day. Enjoy this beautiful weather out there. And Jaguars Today returns tomorrow from 10 to noon on 1010 XL and 92.5 FM.